Welcome to the Washington Defender Podcast. I'm your host, Pastor Brian Noble, CEO of Family Policy Institute of Washington, and we will have a special guest I happen to just love and known for a number of years, I believe, and Miss Sharon Hanek. Sharon, introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm glad to be with your audience today. I guess it's the daytime here. I see the sun shining. Yes, my name is Sharon Hanek. Also, people might know me as Research Mom. And they might know my organization, My Family, My Choice, which does a lot of legislative training. I've been around Olympia because I live on the west side, I guess the left coast of Washington State.
There you go.
And I do go to Olympia quite a bit, and I've been monitoring bills for 20 years. I'm also advocating for parent rights issues, watching over your children's education, also getting into taxes because I am a CPA, and lastly, I do get into elections as well. So
that's excellent.
Any questions you have, give me a holler.
And she's an excellent CPA. She helped me when I ran my campaign, and so that was it was a great relationship that we had between each other. So what are some of the things that you're passionate about? And
with this year, of course, it's education and what they're doing to our children. From the age of birth all the way up to 12th grade, they're coming for your kids. Mm-hmm. There are bills out there. One of the bills has to do with House Bill 1296 and Senate Bill 5181. Essentially, 449,000 people signed an initiative, and they said, we want parents to be the primary stakeholders of our children's education. And now we come along with Senate Bill 5181 that says, no, well, that's not going to happen.
Now, let's talk about this Senate Bill 5181. And there's a lot of places that you can find these. A couple places is the Washington Defender app. It's in there. You can also go to the FPIW Action website and get bill information there. But you probably have a couple locations that they can go to as well.
Well, I usually go. You can go to leg.wa.gov. But if you've got that app on your phone or your device, just type in 5181 to get to the bill.
Exactly right. It does all the quick links. It helps you out there. So let's go into 5181. So we as the people, through an initiative process, passed this thing that says the parents are the primary stakeholders, and they are saying what?
They're saying, well, we want to change that a little bit. Yeah, you can have some rights. You can have kids. You can have some access to your kids' academic and curriculum and things like that. However, you do not have access to your child's health records, mental health records, and essentially all the provisions in that to stop them from, as they say in 5599, stealing your kids and changing their gender. All of that portions of the original initiative are stripped out.
So from Family Policy's perspective, I mean, we're a faith-based organization that says, God places us in families, right? He gives us parents and he gives us people over us. And sometimes that's through adoption and guardianship. We recognize all those different relationships, but there's still a family structure. And what I'm hearing you saying is on this bill is they're trying to say, wait, but there's limits to that family structure. In other words,
yes.
And I just don't, I mean, am I from a different planet? Or, I mean, I just don't.
So they're trying to use this thing called the Medical Minors Act, which says that if your child is 13 years old, so parents out there beware, 13 years old and older, your child has complete rights over the health of their body and their mental health and all that. Sometimes it's 14, but that's kind of the age range.
Oh, that's okay. I'll fix it. No.
And then, but, and just know that if they're 12 and under, you still have all those rights. They haven't taken that away from you, although they will try and they will coerce you.
So you're saying that when people's hormones are at the highest, because they're usually starting puberty around that age, that they now have their own rights over the body. So I have to tell you this. So I don't reveal this all the time, but I had a brain injury when I was young that shut off my testosterone as as an older person, right? And my hormone levels were all off. So then I ended up having to get this certain medication to get that to work again. And as an adult male, I think I was like 42, just having that hormone, those hormones rage, it makes you a different person. And I'm just not sure that they're in their right mind at 13 to make these big lifelong decisions.
They aren't. And plus, sometimes it could simply be that you had an older brother that said, gee, you're gay. Now, what every older brother kind of says that to their younger brothers, especially if the younger brother's sensitive.
Right.
And so they're just, well, gee, maybe I should be.
Right.
And pretty soon they're in the program.
Wow. And that's Senate Bill 5181. Is that do I have the number right?
That's the
And you mentioned another bill,
HB 1296.
Okay, so we know we have some new beginners out there. So H means House Bill.
House Bill
And SB means
1296.
Senate Bill. And so we have those divided on our website, House Bills and Senate Bills, and it really helps you look it up. So this is House Bill 1296. Tell us about that one.
It's very similar to 5181 in that it attacks parental rights. This one has 4 parts to it.
Mm-hmm.
What I find is even more insidious and more dangerous in 1296 is that there's a portion of the bill that says children have the right. Children have the right to learn academics and the right to learn history of all oppressed communities, which would be essentially the LGBTQI, all those letters.
Right.
So it sets them up for the whole DEI CRT track, but it says that the children are entitled to it because they have the right to learning this kind of information. That's what I find even more so, because then in part 2, they said parents have the right to govern the children, but yet I sense that there's a lesser of the right. And then another part of it, it's actually part 4, that says that the teachers, if the teacher teaches that the children have these rights and teaches the curriculum that the state approves of, then no school board member and no employee can coerce that teacher or have retribution or anything. But in contrast, that means that if you don't teach these things, can a school board member fire that teacher for teaching biblical values?
Wow.
That's the flip side of it. So
Right.
I find 1296 even worse because it's setting up the child, the student, to be at the top of the ladder. They are entitled to all of this learning. Next, the teacher is entitled to all of that teaching. And lastly is the parent. That's how I see the new hierarchy being set up in public school system.
Wow. So if people want to express their thoughts on this, there's a number of steps. In the Washington Defender app, you can have a one-click register your position, pro, con, against, for, or against. I know you guys are in there and you're learning how to use that. I mean, because it just launched 2 or 3 weeks ago. So you're getting up and you'll be posting articles in there. It's under My Family, My Choice, I believe. Is that right?
My Family, My Choice is my website. I'm going to be updating that for all the new bills.
Right.
I did send an email alert out on some of these bills. And we call it the one-click system because after the pandemic and COVID, we used to have to go down, before that, we used to have to go down and testify to voice your opinion.
Right.
Then they set up a computerized system, so from the comfort of your own home, you can vote on the bill. And that is the one-click system where you are voting on it.
Yeah, and so you can testify in person, you can testify in writing, you can testify remotely, and you can register your position. There's 4 basic actions that you can take, and they're on her website. They're also in her huddle in our app. They have a huddle there that they can do it as well. But we're trying to make it as easy as possible for people to get information. And to get out and take a stand. So Sharon, it's been a delight having you on today at the Roanoke Conference here in Ocean Shores.
Yes, I do want to correct that the one-click system, voicing your vote, can only happen before a hearing. So if you try to find it, it may not always be there.
Yeah, and so what we did in that, and we're going to work with you on this, but we've done it where it pings your phone in your huddle. So it gives you that notification because they make it very difficult, right? Like you got to be between this hour and this hour, and so the whole system's built around that so that you can get in there and make your voice heard. So, any closing remarks before we go, Sharon?
No, just stay active, stay in tune, and yes, you can make a difference, but the numbers matter. So please sign up with the FPIW and do your work.
Awesome. Well, like we like to say around here is go out there and defend and advance biblical values in the public square. If you haven't downloaded that app, go to the Google Play or Apple App Store. It's the Washington Defender app. It's a spectrum of voices from ultra conservative to moderate conservative, and so I want to encourage you to be involved. It's never too late to do the right thing. God bless.